The written word. It holds many beauties, takes us to many places, allows us many freedoms. It inspires and shapes us.
I think there's something about books that's uniquely powerful.
My mom always would take me to the library, and she would read a lot herself.
In every recess, instead of going out to play or when we would stay inside on the rainy days, I'd ask the teacher if it was okay if I would have a pen and a piece of paper and just write.
It gives me time to search my soul and figure out exactly what it is I want to say.
Basbanes wrote, "The idea that people are products of the things they read, that they are to a great extent shaped by their books, is an endlessly fascinating notion to consider." Benjamin Willits knows what it's like to be shaped.
As a person who finds it difficult to communicate verbally, as a kid I had problems, had speech impediment. I find writing is a way to express myself.
The Books That Stir Us, the Basbanes Project, was developed by Lorain County Community College professor Kevin Hoskinson. The central idea was for students to write an essay about a book that has contributed most to their life.
The book that I wrote my essay on is The Little Engine That Could. It's actually one of my first books I ever read, probably one of my only books I ever read in elementary school, because back in elementary school, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. Wow, I thought to myself, this engine is like me. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can read like everybody else. I got a hold of the book and did not let go. I asked my parents, my teachers, and even my friends about the words I couldn't figure out. I probably even asked them several times about the same word and over. They were patient with me. The pictures of the little struggling engine gave me hope. I know that seems apparent, but to a child who struggled with his reading abilities and books altogether, the possession and enjoyment of both was something huge. It was definitely a high point for me because I had that problem with reading, and to be able to read, to have something that I could read, I could say that this is my book, and I read it.
Rossiter and Clark wrote, "Good stories, powerful stories. The best stories engage us at multiple levels, feelings, beliefs, aspirations, fears, you name it. And that engagement is holistic and multifaceted." Benjamin Willits of Oberlin found himself completely engaged in his book.
The book is The One Star Revolution by Masanobu Fukuoka, and it's about, generally speaking, it's about a system of rice farming that he developed in 30 years of farming in Japan. But more than that, it's a book of philosophy about his view on life. It's more of an issue with me because even as a kid, I was always really susceptible to getting scared and things like that. And the book came along and it sort of made me reevaluate, what I was doing. I was sort of worrying so much, sort of dwelling on the past and the future so much that I wasn't really living my life. Masanobu Fukuoka wrote that the further man gets from nature, the more confused and heartsick he becomes. I was certainly both those things, so I planted a garden to test the truth of his words, just scattered a handful of seeds over a patch of naked earth. As I watched those flowers grow, I began to feel something like peace. Because of the book, after reading the book, I started a garden, and I found that it's really probably one of the most peaceful things you can do, to just sort of be actively engaged with the world, to see living things, to help them grow and experience a piece of the natural world that I think that we're just incredibly disconnected from nowadays. And I think that causes stress for everybody.
Rossiter and Clark wrote, "Through stories, our understanding of ourselves may be expanded, our acceptance of others may be deepened, and our perspective on the world may be widened." Sarah Davidson of Valley City wrote her essay on Ishmael. In it, she found perspective.
It's about saving the environment and about how, as much as we think that we're the pinnacle of evolutionary achievement, we're really not. Well, I think it causes all of us to be a little more introspective, and we definitely learn a lot by reading both about ourselves and about the world that we live in. The mythology of our culture is essentially this. Man was born to turn the world into a paradise, but tragically he was born flawed. And so his paradise has always been spoiled by stupidity, greed, destructiveness, and short-sightedness. However, it is simply a story that Mother Culture tells us from the moment we are born. Reading Ishmael underlined this fact for me and allowed me to see the world as it truly is. The world is not something we should conquer or even call our world, nor is man inherently flawed in some way. It was hard to write the paper because I love the book so much. It was difficult to make sure that I wasn't summarizing the entire novel and more writing about my feelings of the book.
The project encouraged students all over campus to read. Over 50 essays were written. In each book read, in each essay written, impressions were no doubt left. In some cases, eyes were opened, and the gift of the written word was reinforced.
Tutu describes those who possess the spirit of Ubuntu by saying, they know that they are diminished when others are humiliated, diminished when others are oppressed, diminished when others are treated as if they were less than who they are. Ubuntu gives people resilience, enabling them to survive and emerge still human despite all efforts to dehumanize them. He used words that opened up emotions in me that I could never really identify before. So that's why I chose this book. It's seriously impacted my life in a lot of ways.
Through silence, people are forced to have discussions and arguments within their mind and learn how they truly feel. Not only can people get to know themselves, but through silence they can learn to step into other people's shoes and feel their pain and passion. Danny learned this through his silence, and I learned it through him. After I finished the book, I knew that I'd been a changed person. The book I chose to write about is called The Chosen. It's by Chaim Potok. And the story's really about relationships, like most good books should probably be about, and also the power of silence as well. So much can be learned through silence that you just can't get from talking to other people.
When I met Margaret Lee, she appeared to me not as a figment of fiction, but as a kind of alter ego of my own personality. The more I came to discover the many facets and nuances of her bibliophilic life, the more I believed I was discovering an extension of my own beliefs. When I envisioned Margaret's character, I felt as if I were foreseeing my own future. There's a passage in the book where they talk about that it preserves the dead, that reading, people live on forever in reading, and that in that way they can still influence you.
Basbanes wrote, a book casually encountered by an imaginative mind, lighting a spark that ignites the flame of creativity. Undoubtedly, it has happened on countless occasions. It happened here at Lorain County Community College. And the winners of the Books That Stir Us, the Basbanes Project, are